Central nervous system, rostral, if you remember, means towards the nose. And caudal means towards the tail. Right? In our embryological past, you had a tail. And so caudal just means that it is towards the tail. They are almost interchangeable with ventral and dorsal, but not quite. Okay? Your brain controls your heart rate, your respiratory rate, your blood pressure, all of that stuff. Your autonomic nervous system, that's going to handle all of the things that you don't think about. So, like your adrenaline levels, your blood volume, the chemicals that are hanging out in your blood will help regulate all of that stuff. Your endocrine system is also controlled by your brain, and there's a lot of muscles and things that are involved in innervation of the head through the cranial nerves. Remember, you have 12 pairs of cranial nerves, and we had our fun mnemonic and hypoglossal. I ran out of space. I'm sorry. Okay. But you know that you have 12 pairs of cranial nerves. You will see this again, so if you did not get a chance to write all of these down just quite yet, that is fine. I'm sure I will talk about and write them several more times over the next several days. Okay? Your brain is what performs all of your complex neural functions. So all of the things of like intelligence, your ability to learn and develop new thoughts and information. It is your consciousness, your wakeful brain doing things on a daily basis, right? Your memory, your sensory and motor integration. All of your emotions, all of your behaviors, and all of the ways that you socialize with people around you is all controlled by your brain. Okay. If you think anything, your brain did it. Take a breath, your brain did it. Take a step, your brain did it. When in doubt, your brain probably did it. Okay? Your brain arises from the rostral part of the neural tube. Rostral, again, means towards the nose part of the neural tube. It is broken down into 3 primary brain vesicles, the proencephalon, the mesencephalon, and the rhombencephalon. Okay. Proencephalon, that one's going to divide into the telencephalon and the diencephalon. Your mesencephalon does not divide, and then your rhombencephalon divides into the metencephalon and the myelencephalon. Encephalon. Out of space. Okay, so these are the embryonic brain structures. These 5 guys, telencephalon, diencephalon, mesencephalon, rhombencephalon, those brain vesicles and brain structures in the adult will develop into different things. The telencephalon will develop into your cerebral hemispheres, your diencephalon into your thalamus, hypothalamus, and epithalamus, your metencephalon into your pons and cerebellum, and then your myencephalon into your medulla oblongata. Okay, these two are the rhombencephaloid, and these two are the proencephalon. Okay. Another really important part that is made by the myencephalon is your brainstem. And we're going to talk brainstem pretty soon here. Cool? Cool. So the brainstem includes the midbrain, the pons, and the medulla oblongata. Your brainstem is going to be the connector between your spinal cord and your cerebral cortex. We'll go cerebrum on that one. Okay. And then we have ventricles. Ventricles are large open spaces. I don't want to say open. They are generally going to be fluid filled. That were formed from the neural tubes getting bigger as the fetus was growing. Okay. The fluid that fills those ventricles is cerebrospinal fluid. Okay. There's that development over time. You know that neural tube forms pretty early on. 4 weeks, you have your forebrain, your midbrain, your hindbrain. By 5 weeks, we start to develop those secondary brain vesicles, and then as we grow, we develop the rest of those adult brain structures. Okay. As a fetus, your brain is going to grow really, really fast. Really, really fast. Right? The cerebral hemispheres, so when you think about a brain, you think about kind of like this part of it, right? That has all these squiggles and all that stuff. Those are the cerebral hemispheres, and those cerebral hemispheres will envelop the diencephalon. So the diencephalon kind of sits like a nut in the middle of that cerebral hemisphere, in the middle of the two cerebral hemispheres. Okay. You get wrinkling of those cerebral hemispheres because it increases surface area. If you can increase surface area, you can fit more neurons. If you can fit more neurons, you can do more processing. That's why we are evolutionarily, I guess, smarter than, say, a cat or a rabbit or something like that. Wow, you don't know. Back in the day, your girl used to do brain research on mice, and when you take out their brains, they are smooth. They're like also this big, but they're smooth. I have some pictures of them if you want to see them after class. Okay. So the wrinkling helps to increase surface area, which lets you fit in more neurons. There it is. That's how you grow it. Maybe not how you grow it. Block it. Block it. I'm telling you to block it. Okay. Your brain and its parts are organized into 4 main regions. The brain stem, which is divided into the midbrain, the pons, and the medulla oblongata. That's his full government name. But oftentimes you might hear me call it just the medulla. Same thing. Okay. Next, you have your cerebellum. Your cerebellum is also known as your little brain. And he's going to control most of your autonomic functions. Okay. You've got the diencephalon. If you remember, is made up of your thalamus, your hypothalamus, and your epithalamus. And then you have your cerebrum. Your cerebrum is the two hemispheres that we were talking about a little earlier. Okay. And then in between all of these formed portions of brain, you have what we call ventricles. Those ventricles are expansions of the brain's central cavity. That central cavity will, again, be where fluid and stuff kind of passes through. It is filled with cerebrospinal fluid, which is lined and also lined with ependymal cells. You remember what ependymal cells are? They are a neuroglia, right? So they are a brain, we'll go neural cell helper. And these guys are the ones that help to move that cerebrospinal fluid all over the place within these ventricles. Okay. The ventricles of the brain are continuous with each other. Continuous with each other. And they are continuous with the central canal of the spinal cord. Okay. So they're all connected. Your first ventricle, your third ventricle, your fourth ventricle, your lateral ventricles, and your spinal cord, they are all connected with this central cavity fluid and all that stuff. Okay. And that's relatively generally what it looks like. Okay. And those ventricles, they are deep within the brain tissue. Deep to cerebrum. Okay. You will need to know where these ventricles lie. Okay. The lateral ventricle is going to be located in the cerebral hemispheres. It has that weird kind of horseshoe shape that you saw a little bit earlier. The lateral ventricles look kind of like that. Okay. The third ventricle is going to be in the diencephalon. Remember, the diencephalon is a little nut that's in the center of the brain. And it's connected to the lateral ventricles by an interventricular foramen. Interventricular, inter means between, ventricular is the ventricles, foramen is a small hole. Okay. The cerebral aqueduct is another kind of set of tubing that will connect your third and fourth ventricle. And then your fourth ventricle. I'm so sorry, guys. Give me 2 seconds. Hindbrain, again, remember, is that kind of brainstem, pons, medulla type area. And that will connect directly to the spinal cord. And then spinal cord all the way down, full of fluid. Okay? Cool. So now that we talked ventricles, we can talk about how gray matter and white matter are distributed in the central nervous system. Why is white matter white again? I think I forgot to record a large section of that statement that I just made. But basically, gray matter on the inside, white matter, and then a little bit more gray matter on the outside. Very simply, that's what it looks like. You can see that gray matter, that's the cortex, white matter, and then you have some gray matter nuclei deep into the brain. This is the cerebrum. This is the cerebellum. And then this is the, this is the brainstem. And then this is the spinal cord. Cool? Cool. The brainstem. Brainstem includes, like I've said, at least 4 times now. So if I've said it multiple times, do you think it's going to come back? You should all be nodding your heads. Yes, it will come back. The brainstem includes the midbrain, the pons, and the medulla oblongata. Okay. Your brainstem is the passageway for all of the fiber tracts, meaning every single sensation that you get from your body that is transmitted via your spine to your brain is going to pass through your brainstem. Okay? It is the passageway for all fiber tracts between the cerebrum and the spinal cord. Okay? It is very heavily involved with the innervation of the face and head. Okay. 10 of your 12 cranial nerves attach to the brainstem. 10 of the 12. Can you think of which ones might not? It's just a thought question. That wasn't me. Your olfactory nerves don't really touch your brainstem. That's one of them. I want to say your optic nerve is the other, but don't quote me on that. Okay? Your brainstem is going to produce most, if not all, of the automatic behaviors that you need to survive. And it's going to do a pretty good job of integrating auditory, and visual reflexes. Remember, a reflex is just a quick, brain doesn't even really think about it. A synapse fires, sends something to a motor neuron. Motor neuron does what it needs to do. Okay? This is what the underside or a ventral view of the brain looks like. Okay? This space right here is the medulla oblongata. Okay, the pons sits right in here. Let's do that in a different color. The pons sits right in here. It is the middle portion. And the midbrain is this kind of section of brainstem going in. And you have to remember that this kind of goes up, not just out. Okay. Cool? Cool. Okay. The medulla oblongata is the most caudal part of the brain. What does that mean? Caudal towards the tail, right? Towards the tail. So it is one of the most kind of lower parts of the brain and brainstem. It is continuous with the spinal cord. Okay. Part of the fourth ventricle lies dorsal to the superior half of the medulla. So part of the fourth ventricle is going to be just behind the upper half of the medulla oblongata. You can't really see it because it's pretty small, but all of these cranial nerves, 4, 5, 6, are hanging out on your brainstem. That one, even your optic nerves. So yeah, I was wrong. It's not optic. It's the other. It's another one. Is it trigeminal? Glossopharyngeal? I'll think about that. Okay. The major fiber tracts. Remember, I said that there are white matter tracts that go from your spinal cord up to your brain. The major ones are the pyramids of the medulla, the desiccation of the pyramids that will eventually go to these gray matter sections inside the brain, right? Remember, we talked those gray matter, white matter, and then some more gray matter. Those interior gray matter, we call them nuclei or nucleuses. Nuclei is plural. Nucleus is singular. Okay. The inferior cerebellar peduncles, those are fiber tracts connecting the medulla and the cerebellum. And then the medullary olive is a part of the nucleus of the inferior olivary nucleus. I know that made very little sense. It will in a second, when I can show you what it is that you're looking at. Okay, so if this is your medulla oblongata, these little areas of kind of like darker material, those are the gray matter nuclei that I was talking about. Okay, and then you have your white matter tracts that hang out kind of in the front here. Desiccation just means crossing. Decussation, I think that's what it was. Just means crossing over. That's why the images that you get from your left eye get processed by the right side of your brain, because your optic nerve crosses. Call that pyramids decussation, something like that. Okay. There are 4 pairs of cranial nerves that attach specifically to the medulla oblongata. They are cranial nerve 8, 9, 10, and 11. Cranial nerve 8 is the vestibulocochlear nerve. Vestibulocochlear. 9 is the, bless you, glossopharyngeal. 10 is your vagus nerve. Oh, and I'm sorry, this is 12, not 11. And 12 is your hypoglossal nerve. Bruh. Cool? Sick. That's what it looks like. There it is again. The core of your medulla contains what we call the reticular formation. The reticular formation is really, really important in influencing autonomic functions. The reticular formation is a collection of nuclei and other kind of cell body things that play a vital role in regulating all of your autonomic functions. Okay, so some of the visceral centers of the reticular formation include your cardiac center. That's going to control the rate of your heart beat as well as the strength of those beats. The vasomotor center is going to control your vessels dilating and what's the opposite of dilating? Expanding. And then the medullary respiratory center as well. Also in your medulla, you have centers for, please let me write these words. Fine. For hiccuping, sneezing, swallowing, and coughing. Okay. So most of your autonomic functions are going to be done, I won't even say most. A lot of your autonomic functions are going to be handled by your medulla oblongata. Okay. We are going to stop here for the day and pick up with the pons and the rest of the brainstem on Tuesday. I will tell you now that we are going to go fast, okay? Faster than we have already been going. I know, I'm sorry. We are going to go speedy. So please, please, please try to read through the first few sections of chapter 13. It will really, really help you. Read chapter 13. It is long. It is a long chapter, okay? What I want you to focus on is the structures and their general functions. You cool? Cool. Don't forget, next Tuesday is going to be our histo exam makeup day. That's going to be after class on Tuesday. You'll have an hour to do so. I don't think there's any other information that